Most baseball rules are rigid. 3 strikes, and you're out. 3 outs,
This could be.
and the inning is over.
It's a triple play!
The most runs wins, the home team bats last, and the bases are run counterclockwise. Well, usually.
Oh my goodness! Wow, you gotta be kidding me!
But while the vast majority of rules have survived the test of time, there have been many tweaks along the way. And when Major League Baseball heard from you, the fan, about the kind of baseball you most want to see, it was clear that some rule changes were in order to reach that goal. So, quick question. What's going on with these rule changes? The best baseball players in the world are in MLB.
Oh my goodness, did Buxton catch that ball?
And fans want to see a version of the game that showcases and celebrates players' athleticism and talents. A version that reminds us of earlier baseball eras, with less dead time. Baseball is a glorious and thrilling game. But over the years, as the time between pitches has increased, games have become longer and longer. And as teams become smarter about how to use data to position their fielders, it became a game in which it is harder than ever to get a hit. As the average time between balls in play grew close to 4 minutes, the league batting average went down to the lowest it's been in more than 50 years. Unfortunately, what this really boiled down to was more game time and less action. Not exactly what fans want to see. That's why the good old rulebook has been slightly revised for 2023. You spoke, and MLB listened. So some bright minds got together and thought about ways to improve the pace and increase the game's action and athleticism. And for the last 2 years, the minor leagues, which are always a training ground for players, also became a proving ground for various rule change ideas. After a lot of listening, a lot of thought, and testing in over 8,000 minor league games, the following changes were approved by a joint competition committee of owners and players for 2023. Rule change 1, the pitch timer. To create a crisper pace and get rid of all that standing around, pitchers will now be required to begin their motion based off a pitch timer. They'll have 15 seconds after receiving the ball with the bases empty, or 20 seconds with runners on base. If they don't begin their motion before the timer goes off, they will be charged with an automatic ball.
When you see pitchers walking around the mound, taking 30 seconds between pitches, ultimately the loser in that equation is the fans. And throughout baseball history, it was expected that you'd see a pitch delivered every 12, 13 seconds. That's what we all grew up with, a great pace to the game that way, very natural, very organic. Now we're at a point where there's 4 minutes between balls put in play. So it's a relatively recent phenomenon, and by moving back to a pitch every 15 seconds or so, we're actually going to restore the game to the way it was traditionally played throughout baseball history.
And the pitch timer isn't only for pitchers. Batters must be in the batter's box and alert to the pitcher by the 8-second mark as time ticks down, or else they'll be charged with an automatic strike. That means some of the more intricate at-bat rituals might need a little speeding up. In the minor leagues last year, the pitch timer cut the average time of game by about 25 minutes. It was, quite honestly, the death of dead time. To prevent pitchers from resetting the pitch timer at will by stepping off the rubber, there will also be a limit of 2 step-offs or pick-off attempts per plate appearance. Pitchers will be able to throw over a 3rd time, but if it doesn't result in an out, the runner will automatically advance, which will give base runners the leeway to take bigger leads and make more attempts at another play fans love to see, the stolen base.
Well, as a former player, I am most excited about the limited pickoff attempts. Because as a base stealer, under these new rules, I think I could swipe at least 55 to 60, maybe 65.
And thanks to the second rule change, those bases are bigger than ever. Rule change 2, bigger bases. Many baseball fans know that the distance from base to base is 90 feet. But unless you've been bringing your measuring tape with you, you probably had no idea that the bases themselves have traditionally been 15 inches on each side. This year, the distance from home plate to the back of first base is still 90 feet, and the size of home plate will remain unchanged. But first, second, and third base have been expanded to 18 inches on each side. The primary reason why the bases are getting bigger is safety, giving fielders and runners more room to operate without colliding. But with a little less distance between first and second and third, base thieves have a new accomplice.
And he's walking away with the first base bag.
So base runners should be helped by the first two rule changes, and the third should help batters reach base to begin with. Rule change 3, defensive shift limits. Over the years, baseball has become more and more analytical, making players' listed positions, like second baseman or shortstop, little more than suggestions. Because of this, it hasn't been uncommon to see the second baseman positioned in shallow right field when a left-handed hitter was up. Some teams have even been so confident that the hitter could not beat the shift that they would position all of their infielders on one side of second base, like some kind of baseball barricade.
I don't know the last time I've seen a four-man infield on the right side.
To return the game to its more traditional infield alignment and show off the athleticism of middle infielders, the extreme defensive shifts that contributed to plummeting batting averages have been outlawed. The defensive team must now have a minimum of 4 players on the infield dirt when the pitch is delivered, with at least 2 infielders completely on either side of second base. Otherwise, it's an automatic ball. In other words, second baseman will play second base, and shortstops will play shortstop. Makes sense, right? Phew, how about a little quick question recap? Rule change 1, pitchers and batters are going to need to be a little more timely. Rule change 2, bases are getting a 3-inch upgrade that will increase action on the base paths. Rule change 3, extreme defensive shifts will be regulated, resulting in more highlight reel defensive plays and base hits. Though these changes to pace, positioning, and the bases themselves might seem revolutionary to some, their real intent is to return the game to its original, exciting rhythms and results. In that way, the pitch timer helps turn back the clock, and the shift limits are a shift toward normalcy.
See it for yourself. See how crisp the game is. See how much action is actually happening at the game in a faster pace. See that for yourself. Then you will know that this game is a better quality game.
But don't worry, baseball's most familiar rules remain. It's still 3 strikes and you're out. Those strikes will just come a little bit quicker now. So grab that hot dog and get back to your seat.